Welcome to episode 2 of making the simple roguelike. Today we're going to be tackling the enemies and the character system, so let's get into the video. So now let's start by adding the enemy. Simply what I'm going to do is just going to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to walk the character by clicking this, and then I'm going to change this model just to be with red eyes, and I'm just gonna make it simple zombie, so with this color and this color. So now I'm gonna change the tag to be remove the character tag, and now add the enemy tag. So now after we add the enemy tag, we're gonna change this and keep the one-way turn to its motion of direction. I'm just going to take away the other inputs and the slowdown and analog stick and speed limit. Well, actually speed limit we're going to keep. So for the speed limit, I'm going to make it 3 because we made the character's speed 6 over here and then the max speed of 7. So we're going to just make this a little bit slower. So instead of 3, I think, I'll leave it 3. So we have it 3. And now we're going to say on the zombie, we're going to say when it's created, it's gonna move towards another actor, and this is enabled, this option. You can use it because we made this a dynamic actor, and that just allows the actual blueprint or the actor to move towards something else. So what we're gonna say here is it's gonna move towards the closest actor with the tag, and we're gonna say character because this enemy is gonna be moving to the character, of course, because that's how enemies work. We're gonna say at speed 1 because we're gonna say here at the top repeat, and we're gonna make this the lowest amount we can. So it's gonna continuously be moving to the character at a certain speed, but then it has a limit, so it'll lock it at the certain speed it's going. And we make this 1.5 to make it the actual size. And if we place it down now, we can see that it chases a character, but the character can easily outrun it. So after that, I just made a little showcase. The zombies are pretty dumb, don't have pathfinding, but the fun thing is I don't know how to make good pathfinding that works. Like if I'm standing behind this, they by themselves go around. So but anyway, when they do find you, they can move to you. I'm just gonna lower their density real quick. I just lowered their density to 0.1. All this does, it just makes it so when the zombies are by you, you can actually walk through them and they won't like force you into a specific area or whatever. Now we're gonna make a simple attack and health system. So what you can do is get a new actor and just make it like an attack button type of thing. So what I'm going to do is just make a circle and do this real quick. So here's my goofy attack button. I'm going to make this also a circle. And what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to say when it's tapped, it's going to tell, and we have to actually do the things now. So what we're going to basically be doing is making an attack button. We're going to be placing it down. When someone taps the attack button, it's going to create a projectile that's going to go in the general direction of the zombie. So first, let's create the arrow by creating a new blueprint. And you can make this a bullet or anything else. It doesn't have to be an arrow, but we're going to make an arrow real quick. And for this, I suggest you make it after we're done making an arrow. We're going to go on the arrow and we're going to say on it, when it's created, it's going to just firstly have a dynamic. And then we're going to say when it's created, it's going to move towards another actor. And this time we're not going to repeat it. We're just going to say it once. So I'm going to say at speed 7, it feels like the best speed for me. And because the character's going to be using this, we're going to say enemy, it's going to move towards. And then we're going to say on this, when this collides with the enemy, it's going to destroy the actor firstly. It's just going to destroy the arrow once it collides. And then we're going to say tile closest actor with the tag enemy, and they're gonna modify the variable and things like that I'm still gonna add. So if we go on to the enemy now, we can add a local variable, let's say HP, and we're gonna make it 100. Then I'm gonna go back to my arrow and then say it's gonna change the active variable HP to be negative 25, and they're gonna say relative. So this is just gonna decrease the enemy's HP to negative 25 every single time the arrow hits. So the enemy would need 4 hits to die. And now to make the thing where they die, we can go on the enemy and say when variable reaches a certain value, and we can say HP, and then less or equal than 0, then this is going to destroy the actor and play a sound. Also, if you want to add knockback to your arrow, you can just say on the arrow, the same place we did, we can say tile closest actor with enemy to modify to move towards its own angle, and say negative how much you want the knockback. So I'm going to say -3, and then it's going to give -3 knockback, and it's negative meaning it's going to go the opposite direction of its own angle. And then on the button now, we're going to say it's going to tell actor character to create an arrow behind its actor. So now if we take the button, we rescale it to, let's say 4, put in the bottom right, and then make it relative to the camera. We have a attack button, but as you can see, the arrow is not doing the right thing, as firstly, it's not destroying when it's attacking the wall, secondly, it's not the right size, and thirdly, of course, it's not rotating. So let's fix all those first. Let's change the size to, let's say 2, and then we just want to say when it's created, it's going to move towards the closest actor with attack enemy, and it's going to modify the property of the rotation to be, and then we're going to say under here, it's gonna face direction of motion, and also we're gonna add the tag arrow on top of the arrow. Then on the wall, to make it so when the arrow is getting destroyed when it collides with the wall, we're gonna say on the wall, when this collides with arrow, it's gonna tile closest actor with the tag arrow to destroy actor. And then now once we attack the wall, the thing is destroyed, and it gives slight knockback, not very much, to the enemies, but then after some time they do die. But as you can see, once there's no more enemies, the arrows just there on the floor like this. So we're gonna make a system to fix that. I'm gonna change the size of the attack button, and we're gonna make the enemies take more knockback. The first what we're gonna do is we're gonna change the size of this to be a little bit smaller. It's just a little bit too big in my opinion. Then I feel like I'm gonna reduce the size of the arrow by a little bit, and with the enemies, I'm actually going to change this. So I'm going to make it go at 0.1 speed every so seconds, because it's going to reduce the speed, because right now this enemy is going the max speed every single time. So if we reduce it to be just a little bit under, so it has acceleration and deceleration, it's going to make the knockback work way better, and the enemy will be a little bit more smooth. And while we're at it, we could add the knockback to be -5 to give more knockback and more impacts kind of. Now if we try this again, we can see the enemies receive a bit more knockback, and you can end up killing all the enemies. So in my opinion, I think I'm going to give, instead of just 5, a -15. We're going to make an attack system now for the enemy, and how we're going to do that is going to get a new blueprint. We're going to make, let's say, a little square, but what I'm going to do is offset it a little bit. So I'm going to make it like this, and this is just because it'll make it easier for the enemy to attack you, because the attack is going to be in front of them. But basically with the enemy, we're just creating a square that if it's colliding with the character, it's going to reduce their health. So we're going to make this width scale to be 2, and then the height scale to be 3, and it'll create something like this. And on this, we're going to say when it's created, it's going to destroy actor, and we're going to go onto the arrow, copy the code, put it onto the attack, and then we're just going to change it up to make it the normal for the normal attack, and say character. Then we're going to say closest actor with attack character, and then we're going to keep the knockback and make the HP -10 instead, because I want the character to have 100 HP as well. So now we're going to create a new empty blueprint. This is for the enemy to continuously attack even though the character hasn't moved, and just the easiest way I found how you could do this kind of system. So I'm going to make a green circle and make sure the collision's also a circle. Then what I'm going to do is make this is going to be the range of the character depending on when they attack. So 2, it seems like a bit too small. I'm going to make it 4, and 4 seems alright, because if we place them side by side, green is the range that the character's range is to attack, and then the red is going to be the actual character attack. So we're going to go onto the character now, and we're going to say it's going to create a new blueprint. What is going to be the range? And this is just to assign the green circle that creator. Then we're going to say on this green circle, we're going to say when it's created, it's going to modify the X position, and it's going to modify the Y position to be the behavior property. of the X position of the actor that created me, and then do that for the Y as well. So it's going to be the behavior property of the Y position of the actor that created me. And we're going to make a relative and just say repeat as fast as we can. So now on the green circle, we're going to say when this collides with character, it's gonna tell the enemy what is the enemy that created it. So we can just say tell actor that created me with tag enemy that it must add tag, and we're gonna say attack. And then after that, we're gonna say wait as low seconds as we can, and it's gonna remove attack as well. So now on the enemy, we're gonna say when this gains tag, and we're gonna say attack. We just have to retype it. And when it gains attack, we're gonna of course create the attack. And I'm just gonna make this behind this character actor, and we actually can remove the tag attack here instead of the other thing telling it to. So go back to the green circle and remove this. So now the enemy is gonna do this, and then it's gonna wait 1 second and then create again a new green circle behind the actor, because we're gonna go back onto the green circle and say when it collides with character, it's gonna do that all, and then at the end it's gonna destroy this actor, so that the 1 second on the enemy here is the cooldown that the enemy is gonna attack again. So now that we see green circles, and then the enemy creates an attack, and the attack slowly recharges. As we can tell already, we're gonna make everything invisible, but the person jumps over and over again because they can't directly face you. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create on the enemy, when it's created, it's gonna make the enemy face the character. We're gonna say when it's created, it's gonna repeat every n seconds, make it as low as you can. Then you're gonna say it's gonna modify the property rotation, and with this is gonna be the angle from one actor to another actor in degrees. I'm gonna say myself to the closest actor with the tag character. So now the enemies will always face me and try to attack me. I think I'm gonna remove the knockback from the enemy attack. Now if we make the green circle not visible, the red circle not visible, and also I want to add this on top of the character, so we can do this as well. This is just to make it look more appealing, so the character is always facing the enemy. So we're going to say it's going to modify the rotation to the angle of the closest enemy instead. So now it looks pretty normal. Character always faces the closest enemy, so when it changes, they face someone else, and then the enemies can attack the character. You might not see it. I'm going to quickly enable the visibility on it now. But what I forgot to do is go on the enemy and say when it receives a tag, it's going to under here where it says MT blueprint 7, you're going to press on none here, perform response, and then you're going to say this is the attack. So it's going to want to go in the same rotation that the enemy is facing. You're going to say modify property rotation to the behavior property of the rotation of the actor that created me. So let's try that again now. Here are the enemies, then they create an attack in the same direction as the character, and the character can attack the enemies and kill them. Last thing I need to do is make the character system now. So on the character, we're going to add HP and make it 100 again. Then we're going to take the same thing here. We're going to say when HP is less than 0 up here, and then put it up here, and then it's going to do basically the same thing, but we're just going to add at the bottom here that it's going to restart the card to retry basically. So now once the character is below 100, they reset the card, and then the character can kill all the enemies with the attack. And we still didn't sort this issue, so we're going to make a variable and name it enemies, and we're going to say for the enemies when they created, it's going to modify the variable of enemies to be +1, and then when the HP of the enemy is 0, they're going to modify the variable of enemies to be -1 now and make that relative. And then basically on here we say tell actor to create the arrow, and then we create if condition here if the variable what is enemies is greater than 0. So basically if it's 1 or more enemies on the screen, it will still create the arrows, but as soon as there's 0 enemies, it won't create arrows no more. And then we can create on the arrow as well. So now when we play test this, we can kill all the enemies, and as soon as all the enemies are killed, no matter how much we tap on the attack button, the arrows won't spawn anymore. And the last thing we have to do now, because the character always faces the enemy, once there's no more enemies, it just faces the direction on the right side. So it's gonna say where we created when then it must modify the angle to enemy. We're going to say here, if condition, if the variable enemies is greater than 1, it's only going to modify, or greater than 0, it's only going to modify the rotation to the enemies. So once we kill the enemies, then the character can move freely. So that's for episode 2. Episode 3, we're going to do a little bit of polish, and we're going to add some collectible items and UI. So see you guys next time, and bye bye.